What is up, everybody? It's JT Sports. I'm back to you guys with another video, and I want to talk about something that has been lingering in my head for over the last couple of days, and that is Mike Tomlin still an elite head coach? Now, I've been pretty active on social media over the last couple of days. If you guys aren't following me, make sure to go ahead and do so. My Twitter and my Instagram is both JT Sports _. The link to those are down in the description down below. And with me being more active on social media, I've been seeing a lot of things that have been rubbing me the wrong way. And one of those things has been a lot of people saying that Mike Tomlin is the most overrated head coach in the NFL and that he is not an elite head coach. Now, I want to come on here to say that I strongly disagree with the narrative that Mike Tomlin is overrated and that Mike Tomlin is not one of the best head coaches in the NFL. Let me lay it out for you guys. Over the last two seasons, 2019, 2020 last year, the Steelers have exceeded expectations under Mike Tomlin. 2019, when the Steelers started the season out losing Ben Roethlisberger and having a losing record, everybody said that the Steelers just needed to go ahead and give up on the year and tank for a quarterback in that upcoming year's draft. What does the Steelers do? Well, Mike Tomlin first goes out and he says that as long as he is the head coach in Pittsburgh, the Steelers will never, ever tank and that they will never give up on the year. Then, a couple of days later, they trade away their first round pick for Mika Fitzpatrick, and the Steelers go 8-8 with Mason Rudolph and Devlin Duck Hodges as their two quarterbacks. And remind you that Devlin Duck Hodges back in 2019 was an undrafted rookie free agent quarterback out of Sanford. I don't think there has ever been a head coach in the history of the NFL, or at least one that I can remember for over the last couple of years, that has won games with a undrafted rookie free agent quarterback. Undrafted, not a 7th round pick, not a 6th round pick, not a 5th, 3rd, 2nd, or 1st round selection, an undrafted rookie free agent quarterback Mike Tomlin was able to win games with. Undrafted. Name me another head coach right now that has won multiple games with an undrafted rookie free agent quarterback. I don't think you can. Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh exceed expectations 2019. So then let's rewind back to this time last year, 2020. You have everybody out there counting out the Pittsburgh Steelers. What was the narrative? Well, Big Ben is washed up. We don't know how Big Ben is going to look coming off that injury. The Steelers aren't that good. They have questions at wide receiver. And what does Pittsburgh do? Well, they go 12-4. They make the playoffs. Nobody expected the Pittsburgh Steelers to make it to the playoffs last year besides Steelers fans. And Steelers fans were heavily criticized and called delusional for saying that the Steelers were going to make it to the playoffs. And you want to know what's funny? Steelers fans out there like myself didn't even have the Steelers winning 12 games. Majority of Steelers fans out there had the Steelers winning 10 to 11 games last year and finishing second in the division behind either the Browns or the Ravens. And the Steelers not only exceeded expectations by winning 12 games, but they also exceeded expectations by winning the AFC North. And you can call the Steelers season last year fraudulent, or whatever you want to do. But if we're being factual, and we only speak facts on JT Sports, and we have, the research and the information to back it up, the Steelers played against 6 playoff teams in the regular season last year in 2020. And they won 4 out of 6 of those matchups. They beat the Browns. They beat the Tennessee Titans. They beat the Ravens. And they beat the Indianapolis Colts in the late part of the year. And they lost to the Washington football team and the Buffalo Bills. So out of the 6 games that the Steelers were matched up against teams that went to the playoffs last year, they won 4 out of 6 of those matchups. They essentially went 4-2 against teams that were in the NFL playoffs last year. I don't think that counts as a fraudulent season. Now, what a lot of people say makes the Steelers 2020 year fraud is because they started the season out undefeated and then they folded down the stretch. And I can agree with the fact that the Steelers did end up finishing the year off pretty cold on a really sour note, especially when you look at their wild card loss to the Browns and the way they lost that game. But nobody expected the Steelers to even be at that point. Nobody expected the Steelers to be 10-0. If you were to tell me that the Steelers were going to start the year out last year 10-0, I would have looked at you crazy. And I'm a Steelers fan saying this. I'm pretty sure everybody would have looked at you crazy. And everybody would have said, huh? Steelers are going to start the season out 10-0? What? But they did. So Mike Tomlin, for over the last 2 years, has exceeded expectations as the head coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I'm going to take it a step further. I'm going to say Mike Tomlin, over the last 2 years, 2019, 2020, going into this year, has been the best head coach in the NFL during that 2-year span. Name me another head coach that has done the job that Mike Tomlin has done over the last 2 seasons. Being able to win 8 games with an undrafted rookie free agent quarterback, exceeding expectations when nobody expected pretty much 95% of you guys who are watching this, who are non-Steeler fans, didn't expect the Steelers to have a winning record, didn't expect the Steelers to win the division, and didn't even expect the Steelers to make it to the playoffs, and they did both of those things. Finished the division race in first place, beat multiple playoff teams. So Mike Tomlin, in my opinion, is still an elite head coach. And I don't understand how people can just go off, the narrative that Mike Tomlin is just a washed up head coach, when if he was to get fired today, teams would be jumping at the bit to fire Mike Tomlin. If you're watching this, Mike Tomlin, you would probably rather swap your current head coach with Mike Tomlin. If you're a Bears fan, I know you're definitely doing that. If you're a Vikings fan, you're doing it. Like, your favorite team's head coach right now, the majority of you guys watching this, you would trade for Mike Tomlin. You probably would trade a first-round pick for Mike Tomlin if you could. So let's not go with the narrative that Mike Tomlin's overrated just because he hasn't had the postseason success as guys like Bill Belichick and Andy Reid. Just because he has won the Super Bowl when Le'Veon Bell, AB, and Big Ben were all in their prime. Everybody talks about that. But let's talk about what Mike Tomlin's body of work has been over the last 2 years. Tell me another head coach that has done the job that Mike Tomlin has done from 2019 to 2020 to 2021. Mike Tomlin has been having the best coaching job over the last 2 years that he's ever done. Okay, he's done an incredible job coaching the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is the best coaching job that Mike Tomlin has done in his whole entire career. Mike Tomlin is hot right now. Mike Tomlin has made incredible adjustments. He's done pretty much what you expect out of an elite head coach. He's won without his starting quarterback. He's won without multiple starters. He's won without some of his best players on the defense side of football and offense side of football. And he also has exceeded expectations. Not once, but twice. So, I don't understand how people can say Mike Tomlin shouldn't be in discussion when it comes to being one of the best head coaches in the NFL. I don't know how you can say Mike Tomlin is not an elite head coach. Because Mike Tomlin gets the most out of the players that he has on his roster. And everybody's looking at the Steelers going into this year and saying that, well, JT, the Steelers have the toughest schedule in the NFL. They're not that great. But yet, I don't see anything different between the narrative this offseason and what has been the narrative for the Steelers the previous 2 off seasons. Mike Tomlin has exceeded expectations for 2 years in a row. And I don't think it's going to be anything different this year when he exceeds them for a 3rd time this year. I guess people are just going to keep counting out the Pittsburgh Steelers and Mike Tomlin until they finally get it right. I guess that's what people are trying to do. But Mike Tomlin has been doing an incredible job coaching this football team. And as a Steeler fan, I am proud to say that Mike Tomlin is my head coach. He's been a phenomenal leader. He's gotten the most out of a young team. The Steelers had one of the youngest rosters on the offensive side of football in the NFL last year. Literally. Like, their wide receiving core was really young. Now, they don't have the youngest team, but they did have one of the youngest offenses in the NFL when you look at the average age of the skill position, the guys who they had to start. They had to start a couple of rookies. You had Deontay Johnson. You had Chase Claypool. Like, the Steelers' offense last year was pretty young. So Mike Tomlin has done an incredible job coaching the Steelers. This is the best job that Mike Tomlin has done coaching in his whole entire career coaching the Steelers over the last 2 seasons. A phenomenal job. And like I said, I still stand on the statement that I feel over the last 2 years, Mike Tomlin has been the best head coach in the NFL. I'm not saying over the span of a decade, because I know a lot of you guys are going to take that, you're going to twist it. I'm saying over the last 2 seasons, 2019, 2020, Mike Tomlin has been the best head coach in the NFL. Not over the last decade, not over the last 5 years. Over the last 2 seasons, Mike Tomlin, hands down, has done the best coaching job out of all 31 other NFL head coaches. And I don't think that's me sounding naive. I don't think that's me sounding biased. This is coming from an unbiased, neutral standpoint. Mike Tomlin has been coaching his tail off the last 2 years as a head coach in Pittsburgh. And as a Steelers fan, I am grateful and I am proud to have Mike Tomlin as my head coach. Mike Tomlin still is the best head coach in the AFC North. Okay? Kevin Stefanski did a really good job with Cleveland last year, who still won the division. I understand the Browns won the wild card game, which is important because at the end of the day, you played the game to win the Super Bowl year in and year out. Steelers won the division, went 2-4. John Harbaugh isn't better than Mike Tomlin. Okay? The only reason John Harbaugh still has a job right now is because of Lamar Jackson. Remember a couple of years ago when all you Ravens fans wanted to fire John Harbaugh? Especially when you look at how Lamar Jackson's rookie season started when Lamar Jackson was on the bench and Joe Flacco and the Ravens started the season out not all that great. Joe Flacco goes down. Lamar Jackson steps in and takes Baltimore to the playoffs. Lamar Jackson single-handedly saved John Harbaugh's job. Now, of course, you got to give Coach Harbaugh some credit for making a offense and help his coaching staff assembling a scheme to best utilize Lamar Jackson's strengths. Okay, you do have to give them some credit for that. But Lamar Jackson is the sole reason for why John Harbaugh still has a job in Baltimore. He saved John Harbaugh's tail. You know it. I know it. Let's not act like that's not the truth. Okay? So, Mike Tomlin, in my book, still is an elite head coach. He's one of the best head coaches in the game. He's been putting out a great body of work over the last 2 years, and I expect that to continue this upcoming season in 2021. So let me know how you guys feel about Mike Tomlin down in the comment section down below. Do you guys feel like Mike Tomlin still is an elite head coach in the NFL? Make sure you guys like the video, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more NFL videos and college football videos.